It's Matchday 28 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, NHL, college basketball and more. Sign up today using the promo code PLGP to get a 100% deposit match. And we're brought to you by Champs. Run your own March Madness pool and enter Champs free bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs to enter today. And finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, March the 7th, and we are here to look at the Premier League action that takes place Saturday through to Monday this weekend. We'll have a sniff around the Champions League as well that took place Tuesday, Wednesday night. Joining me from Nottinghamshire, he's just fried an egg. It's Mr. Barry Penaluna. Baz, how you doing? Don't be on mute.
I'm not on mute.
Hey.
I was about to be on mute.
You were about to be on mute, I could tell.
The podcast people never know about me being on mute because I always edit that little bit out. So
You?
I'm all right, Malcolm.
That's outrageous, that.
I'm all right, Malcolm. Yes, I have just been cooking an egg. It's been a little bit frantic in here because I've been working the day job, trying to cook tea for the family. The family decided, it's 5 o'clock here now, family decided they weren't prepared to wait till 6 o'clock for dinner. So I've been frantically rushing around, sorting them out. Too late to sort my own dinner, so that'll be afterwards. So yeah, give it a bit of gammon, egg and chips on the go. And you've just said I need some beans on the side of there. But it'll be pickled onions on the side for me when I eventually get to it.
Yeah, I would say if you're having gammon, egg and chips, then I think beans is crucial. You need a bit of wet, Barry, don't you? It's dangerous otherwise.
Well, I've got a runny yolk. That's the wet in it. That's for dipping.
It's not much wet though. It's moist. I'll give you that. It's damp, but I don't know if it's wet.
2 eggs on the go. 2 eggs on the go.
All right, yeah, okay. I didn't know it was. Yeah. You have got the look of a 2-egger, Baz. I'll be honest. The chat is live and kicking. That was a solid start of the show, that, Barry. There's people joining we haven't seen before, be quickly leaving. Serial was first in. Hello, mate. Not Grafton today. Serial, Michael and Callum here as always. Beans McDouglas, hence the Beans chat. All right, Beans, how are you? Kane is here. Kane's had a couple of winners this week. Won a few quid, and I think everyone's done okay. Yeah, I think that the picks were fine during the week, nice and solid. I went 2 for 4 in the Champions League. PSG went off at 9-5, plus 180. What an insane price! And what let me down was that bonus Europa pick, which was both teams to score over 2.5. It was 1-1 after half an hour. I was absolutely home and hose, Baz. So I did fine, just about ended up where I started. But yeah, and I said City would win 3-1. That was another lean. And I think you ended up in the plus column with 3 out of 4, Baz.
Yeah, I didn't get the buy-in one right. I thought Lazio would keep it tight. But other than that, hit everything. Yeah. PSG, good plus money price to score 2 or more. I feel like the City game, I feel like I nailed it. Because in my write-up, I said, if you want to take City team total, you've got to get them to score 4 to get above evens. If you want to take them in the handicap, you had to take them to win by 3. And I said I'd much rather be on the over 3.5 goals where Copenhagen can play their part. And sure enough, the over 3.5 hits. the -3 handicap wouldn't have hit, and the 4-team total wouldn't have hit either. So I think I got that bang on. And the final one was Real Madrid. As I say, there was lots of reasons to take the unders. They haven't been blowing anyone away, and they made quite hard work at Leipzig in the end. But yeah, so good week for me. 3 out of 4. And as you say, Kane's mentioned he's won a few quid over the last weekend, and there was a few people on Twitter messaging us winning betting slips, and it's good to see people aren't just backing all 4 of our things, because the whole idea we've always said, like, pick the bits you like and leave the bits you don't like, or sort of mix and match and do whatever. And we're seeing more of that, where people are like, we're thinking, oh, we've hit 6 out of 9 on a weekend or something, and people are pulling out a betting slip where they've backed 5 of those 6 winners in an accumulator. So it's good to see people are doing their own things with it, rather than if you'd backed my 4 this week in an accumulator, you'd have lost. If you'd backed your 4, you'd have lost. But if you pick the right ones, part of the challenge, isn't it? But we don't expect everyone to follow everything we put out, and it's good to see some people are getting on winners, because we're hitting more than we'll miss at the moment. And you've got to remember, Mal, as well, there'll be lots of other people tipping huge odds on, short prices. We're always trying to get you as close to evens as possible, or better, on most of our picks as well. So invariably, we don't have to hit much over half of them to be ahead.
Yeah, talking about accumulators, but as you just reminded me, mine hit on Monday night. You haven't thought about that since.
Wow, good point. Monday night, yeah, you hit your accumulator at 17-2 plus 850. And I got up the ladder with Arsenal, Malcolm. I took Arsenal up to 6 goals, was 10-1. So my main pick was a good plus money price again on the Monday night, was Arsenal to score 4. And then I said, we'll take 6 and upwards. So we got 6 at 10-1. Actually, it was 10-1 when I put it out on here. We got 14-1 on the night. And it was a shame they didn't go further, because we'd gone up to 50-1 for them to score 8. And it's always one of those things where it can fizzle out once you get that far ahead. But yeah, at 5-0 at half time, you're thinking they're going to get the 7 and the 8, which would have been the jackpot. But all in all, a really good week. I forgot about the Monday stuff. I'm glad you mentioned it.
In hindsight, that was really, really, really obvious as well, when it was 3-0 after 14 minutes. I'm just thinking, how's people not on this crazy ladder?
Serial had a blind there because he took the first half ladder all the way up to 5.
Yes.
So he absolutely smashed it, which was a really good angle in. And funnily enough, sort of features in my pick tonight a bit, the first half goals. So yeah, some good stuff. And you said before we came on, Malcolm, probably be a bit quieter in the chat tonight. There's 28 people. There's more people in this live stream than there's ever been. So yeah, if you are there and you're lurking, do shout out. Let us know you're there, who you're supporting. Get involved.
I think we've probably caught the Americans at work, Barry, and they're skiving. Another winner this week, Harry, our Chelsea correspondent. Do you remember who threw out Harry Kane to score a header in the chat the other night? 9-2, I think it was. I remember that, because it made it onto the little clips bit we put out in the week. It was a terrible header, and the goalie probably should have stopped it going in, but he didn't. So there you go. Captain Insano is here. Tartan Pine 58. That's a great name, by the way. First time in the chat seeing Tartan Pine. Lee Smith, our Burnley correspondent, is here. We've got Burnley coming up in a little while. I haven't got much sort of news and notes for this week, really, Baz. I had to go to work last night, which it was all the way in Manchester. It was right pain in the arse, but I haven't had a job for ages, so I had to go. And it was I haven't had one of these for ages, Baz. It was one of those classic corporate ones. So it was at an airport hotel in Manchester, and they're always a bit suspicious anyway. But it was one of those that really makes my teeth itch. I sort of ended up feeling sorry for the people there. So you might know, Baz, in my life, people occasionally have said I've got a lack of ambition, maybe. I'm not a go-getter, Baz. I'm not a high flyer. What are you laughing at? It's fine. I'm all right with it.
You've definitely got some self-awareness, though.
Yeah, of course, the self-awareness, I'm absolutely smothered in it. Some people do have important jobs, though, Barry. I get that as well. And the people like doctors and that, it's quite not you just pester people for a living. That's not a job. Just leave people alone, Barry. I've told you this. So people have important jobs, but then most of us don't. It doesn't matter. And what I don't get is the corporate management types doing awards ceremonies for people who haven't got important jobs. And that's what this was last night. So it was a Danish furniture company, Barry. You'll probably be able to try. It wasn't IKEA, but it was similar. You'll be aware. If you know who they are, you'll know who they are. And they get there, they have some food and drink. But it's the awards. I don't understand the awards, Baz. The first one was like the best click and collect store. Who fucking cares, Barry? Really, who cares? Rotherham won. Rotherham were the best click and collect score. Rotherham weren't bothered either. And they're not even winning good stuff. If it was money or a speedboat or something, but it was a certificate that you can put up in your staff room. Best click and collect store. Most turnover. Swaddling coat won that. That's not even a swaddling coat. Is that a thing? And then the other one, which I didn't understand, Barry, was it was something to do with a salary. It was a percentage of the salary, maybe salary compared to turnover. It was like XG for selling furniture or something. I just didn't understand it. And Coventry won that. And it just makes me teeth it. So I am once again asking all CEOs and company managers to just leave people alone at the company do. Let them have a few drinks, try and jag someone they shouldn't. That's what it's for. That's the entire point of a company do. But I'm not a big fan of the old awards do, Baz. Any thoughts?
I can't say I don't think I've ever attended such an awards do. Mainly probably because I'm never nominated for any awards. But yeah, I agree with you. Nobody's really bothered about those things, are they?
No, so those certificates will be up in Swaddling Court today. So, right, Barry. Actually, we got Europa League going off in half an hour. I made some picks this morning, so we'll throw them out now because we've got an early one and a late one. I don't know why Roma are 11-10 to beat Brighton. I think that's a ridiculous price. And I don't know why they over 2.5 goals in Freiburg against West Ham is plus money later on. That's plus 107. So again, round about 11-10. Just looked standout prices to me. I noticed the Brighton fans are all getting stabbed in Rome, which is standard behaviour. Don't understand any of that. So I hope everybody stays safe out there. Baz, is there anything else you need to tell us before we fire into this slate of Premier League action?
Fire into it.
Fire into it, okay. I'm going to fire into these ad reads first, though, Baz. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform, US-based, available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is a new and better way to bet against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, anything you like. Cut offers low vig, fully customizable odds so you can create your own bets. You get cash back when you use Cut against your friends and others, and Cut handles the payment side of things as well. So dead easy to use, loads of fun. Kramer and the boys have been using it a lot. Download Cut today in the App Store or kutt.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. And Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. The fastest growing fantasy app in the industry too is Underdog. Really, really good. Sign up today with the promo code PLGP and you'll get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Visit underdogfantasy.com, find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with our code PLGP to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present to stay where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncpgambling.org. So we kick off on Saturday lunchtime so this is 12:30, 7:30 Eastern time. Manchester United take on Everton. Man United are 5-6 minus 120. The draw is 13-5 plus 260, and Everton are 3-1. Really struggled with this, Barry. I saw this and I was just whooshed with feelings. All the feelings came because I didn't want to pick either team. And at the same time, I wanted to pick both teams. Does this make any sense? I don't know if you kind of got a similar feeling. Because what I saw was Man United at 5-6 against a shit team. And I thought, ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, that was
but then I thought. Yeah, but then Man U were shit. And Everton were being a little bit lively lately as well. But I wanted bigger than 3-1 in Everton. So I kind of wanted to back everybody. So it was a hard place to start. Like I say, the 5-6 Manchester United against a bad team, and we've got comparisons lately because I took them against West Ham. And they did it. They did the business against West Ham. They did it on the handicap 3-0, even though they weren't very good. So that's kind of what you're expecting here is Man United to not be very good and get away with it and win. But then we did it against Fulham last time out, and Fulham beat them 2-1. So we've got recent examples of a success and a failure in this type of game. They were CAC last week against Manchester City. And then he turned to Everton. And Everton, you look at the bare result, they lost 3-1 last week. It's home to West Ham United, sorry. But they did all right because it's hard to assess. They missed a penalty. They got in front. They did miss chance after chance after chance. And if they were 5-1 or 11-2, I might take them here. But they haven't got a win in 10. So it's really, really hard to pick them at 3-1. So of all the options, Barry, I am not proud of myself. But I'm going to take option A. I'm going to take Manchester United at 5-6 minus 120. Michael's thrown out the over or under. He likes the under 2.5 goals. And I looked at that as well. It does look like a proper minging slow burner, a 1-0 with a penalty, just something horrible. So I did look at that. But it's an overs league, Baz, so I ignored that. I'll take Manchester United 5-6 minus 120.
It is an overs league, and I can't have the unders here. I've gone the other way. It was a challenge. I don't like to back Man United, as you know, but up against an Everton side who can't win and at Old Trafford, 5-6 was tempting. Just like you said, you're looking at it and thinking it's not a bad price for Man U at Old Trafford. I didn't go there. I mean, Everton have got no win in 7 now, I think. You said they haven't won this year yet. Man United at the same time have just lost back-to-back games in the league. But prior to those two, they had been on a good run. They'd scored at least 2 goals in 7 consecutive games. 5 of those were in the league. And even in the 2 recent defeats, they still managed to get on the score sheet in those games. So I toyed with Man United goals over 1.5. It's 8-11. But then I sort of look at the Man United attack and think it looks a bit toothless at times. But the games generally do go over 2.5 often enough. It's 9 in a row in the league have gone over 2.5. They don't keep clean sheets, just 1 in their last 10. So I think Everton, despite the fact Everton are fairly toothless, can get on a score sheet here in this game and play a part in it. So I couldn't decide who'd win it. Man United look a reasonable price, but I'm just starting off with a really... What I think looks a safe play. It's the shortest price you'll get from me tonight. Man United, Everton, over 2.5 goals is 7-10.
Okay, there are 3 p.m. kickoffs. We're back to a big Sunday slate because of Europa League action. So 3 o'clock games, which is 10 a.m. Eastern time. All of them are very underwhelming, very middling. The first one is Bournemouth against Sheffield United, where Bournemouth are 3-10, minus 333. The draw is 4-1. Sheffield United are at 7-1, Barry.
Yeah, so Bournemouth broke a 7-game winless streak in the league with a 2-0 win over Burnley at the weekend. And if you ever need to get out of a bit of a slump, what better way than to have back-to-back games against Burnley and then Sheffield United? Perfect tonic, I think, for Bournemouth. I think prior to that run, and let's be honest, it was a long run of games where Bournemouth had been off the boil. They were flying previously. They were 7 unbeaten. They're scoring 2 in every one of those games. They won 5 of those 7 by 2 goals or more. And they repeated that last week against Burnley. And I think they'll do the same here. It's score 2 goals or win by 2 goals even. There's just not much to say about Sheffield United that we don't say every week. They've conceded another 5. We say that every week. They've lost 5 of the last 6, conceded 21 goals in those 6 games. I'll take Bournemouth on the handicap, minus 1.5 at 5-6. It looks a fair enough price for me. I just can't get away from Sheffield United at the moment. Listen, at some point, they'll pull out some sort of result against someone like this. But for me, I've got to take Bournemouth, and the only way to play it is the handicap. Bournemouth, minus 1 on the handicap, minus 1.5 on the handicap, 5-6.
Well, this is a complete waste of everybody's time, Barry, because we've got a direct crossfire here. My pick is Sheffield United plus 1.5 on the handicap. Baz, the last 3 Sheffield United away games, they've covered it every time. What's the problem? I mean, the evidence is there. It's evidence, Barry. It's hashtag evidence. They lost 1-0 at Wolves. Ka-ching, Sheffield United win. They won at Luton. Stick that in your satchel. They lost 3-2 at Palace. So they have been keeping it close. And I understand how mad that sounds, because I sat here on Monday night and watched them go 5-0 down immediately and look like they couldn't defend it all. In Villa, did it turn them and other teams up? But like I say, Bournemouth haven't been doing much. You're right. What a great chance to follow up uncompetitive win at Burnley with an uncompetitive win against Sheffield United. And they might just do it, but I just don't think, like I say, that evidence is there. So the price is 13 to 14, minus 107. So just a hint under even money. And yeah, I felt a little bit dirty taking it. It was a bit of a Courtney Love pick, as Noah on the college experience would say. But I'll take Sheffield United plus 1.5, 13 to 14, minus 107. The next 3 o'clock is Crystal Palace taking on Luton Town. Palace are 13 to 18, minus 138. The draw's 14 to 5, plus 280. Luton Town are 7 to 2, plus 350. Palace lost late on at Spurs last week. They got beat 3-1, but they were 1-0 up with about 20 odd minutes to go. They beat Burnley the time out before that, which incorporated the new manager bounce as well, Barry. And they have won 3 of the last 4 home games in very comparable circumstances to this. Brentford, Sheffield United and Burnley. Probably the 3 most comparable teams to Luton Town at the minute. And in those games, Barry, they scored 3 goals every time. They won 3-1, 3-2 and 3-0. I'm just a little bit worried, Baz, that Luton have lost it. I've said, I think, on the last couple of shows that I was maybe seduced by that 4-4 draw at St James's Park, and I thought they'd be able to do that a bit more. And they haven't really. They've lost 4 in a row, and they've conceded 16 goals in the last 5 games, Baz. The Palace team total over 1.5 is an unbelievable price, Barry. We said PSG in the week was a great price. 4 to 5 for Palace to score twice, minus 125. I think it's a great pick. If you want to get a bit fruity and you think they can get the 3, which they have done 3 games in a row, that's at 5 to 2, plus 250. So I love both of those bets. My official play, just to pad me stats, Baz, will be Palace team total over 1.5, 4 to 5, minus 125.
It's funny how you can just juice the stats up for a game to favour your side, and now I've got the exact, well, not the exact opposite of it. We can both.
That's don't change what you're on about.
We can both cash. Yeah, that's the main thing. We're not in direct direct fire here. We just need a goal, a bit of a shootout, because I went the other side of it. I mean, first thing, you look, Crystal Palace at 8 to 11 to win a game. Not for me, thanks. I'll leave that alone. They've won 2 of their last 7 games in the league, and obviously you've referred to games they've won 3-0, 3-2. It's Burnley and Sheffield United. You've said yourself wins against Sheff United don't count. So that stands out to me is the fact that they've won a few games, but they have won against the strugglers of the league. And fair enough, Luton are another one of them, the third bottom. But yeah, not an 8 to 11 for me. I have been seduced by Luton, and I do keep saying they need to start showing something for all their endeavour and their sort of effort and the output. You know, they're not getting the points, and this is probably the last time I'll sort of give them a chance to get something. I think we've seen far more from Luton than we have from the 2 that Palace beat recently, Sheffield United and Burnley. So I think it's a bit more of a challenge than those 2 games. And at the prices, I was drawn to Luton at 7 to 2. They have just lost 5 in a row and 6 without a win. But they faced 4 of the top 6 in that run. They did score twice against Villa, twice against City in the Cup, scored against Man United, scored against Liverpool, put 4 past Newcastle, put 4 past Brighton. They always score. There's always goals for Luton. Whether it turns into points is another matter. But I wanted to be on the Luton side here. And I think the better way to go is goals again, because I can get 5-2 for Luton to score 2 goals here. They scored 2 goals in 6 of the last 9 in all competitions. And they're a decent plus money price. 5-2 plus 250 is a great price, I think. And Palace have conceded 2 or more in, I think, 5 of their last 7. And they've conceded 3 or more in 4 of the last 7. And because you mentioned Palace's home form, even at home, 6 of the last 10 home games, they've conceded 2 goals. So Palace can win at 3-2 for all I care. But my pick here is Luton over 1.5 team total at 5-2. And I'll have a little on Luton to score 3 or more at 10-1.
Okay. Yeah, we can go for a little 3-2 Palace, something like that, Baz. I'm fine with that. And the third 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday is Wolverhampton Wanderers against Fulham. Wolves are 6-4 plus 150. The draw 12-5 plus 240. Fulham 17-10 plus 170. Close on the books, Baz. How did you split them?
This was probably the hardest one for me. I actually left it alone and came back to it and done it as my last write-up. It's one of the few games on the slate which just looks to be a really close matchup. You look at this one, you've got Villa, Spurs, Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle, Chelsea. There's a handful of really, really tricky games to call, and this was one of them. First thought was potentially the classic, both teams to score an over 2.5, which is a favourite of yours. Recently, it's hitting 5 straight games for Fulham. But then the Wolves side of it doesn't fit it at all. Both teams to score no has hit in 4 of the last 5 for Wolves. They've kept 2 clean sheets in a row at home. And they've hit under 2.5 in the last 3 home games as well. So the Wolves side of it concerned me. But as I say, on the other side, Fulham, 5 games in a row, hitting both to score and over 2.5 goals. I'll be honest, I looked at it and looked at other options, and I couldn't split the 2. I didn't want to back either of them because I just couldn't get between them, really. I'm going to take the goals. The game earlier in the season finished 3-2. Fulham are full of goals at the or Fulham games are full of goals at the moment. I just need to hope Wolves can play their part and also let a few in at the other end. It's a decent price, though. You know, for how many overs we are getting at the moment. We've said recently, if you're getting close to evens for over 2.5 in most of these games at the moment, you take it. So 17-20 for the over 2.5. No need to even tag on the both teams to score from there. I'll take that at that price. So Wolves v Fulham over 2.5 goals. It's 17-20 for me.
There's a lot of people in the chat liking the draw. Maybe that it does look like a well-balanced game. I think the key to the outcome, Baz, is the Wolves' injuries, because circumstances conspired against Wolves last week at Newcastle. They were missing Cunha and Chan anyway, and then Neto and Saw went off at half-time, although they were already 2-0 down by then. So that might have just been a little bit of damage limitation. And they had won 3 out of 4 before that game against Newcastle. Fulham going along really well. 3 wins in the last 4. They're up to 12. The lad Muniz is absolutely flying up front. So I think the key to the outcome is these Wolves injuries. Cunha and Chan are still out. Neto's a question mark. Keeper, I'm not that bothered about. So it did take me 4 games, Barry, but I've got there both teams to score in over 2.5 goals. 2-1 to somebody. I actually, gun to me head, would take Fulham. So I think Fulham might nick this 2-1, but the both teams to score in over 2.5 is 11-10 plus 110. I think that's a great price for a game like this. Okay, we'll move on to Saturday tea time. When I've told you first about Champs. Champs is hosting a free March Madness bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. If you host your own March Madness pool on Champs, you'll get an extra free entry into the bracket contest. Tiebreakers are determined by who enters first, so make sure to register now so you don't miss out. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. And Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame bets. Sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Research NBA and soccer bets with historical stats and data. Put your parlay ideas into Hall of Fame Bets Parlay Optimizer. You get hit rates broken down by leg, expected probabilities, sort plays by hit rate, all that sort of stuff. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. James Mafia is in the chat. Bootle's joined us as well. The Jackal is in as well. Captain Insano asking us for NCAA Tony predictions. You know the answer to that, Captain. 3 words. What's the 3 words, Baz?
First half unders.
First half unders. There you go. Bosh. Next. It's like a second income, first half unders. Just get involved. You'll have to declare it to people like Barry if you get involved in that. Tea time on Saturday is Arsenal against Brentford. That's 5:30 local time, 12:30 Eastern time. Arsenal are 1-4, -400. The draw is 11-2 plus 550, and Brentford are out at 10-1. So Arsenal have now won 7 in a row. In the last 4, they have scored 6, 4, 5, and 6. So there's not an awful lot to add here. They're 1-4 shots for a reason. They're playing a Brentford team who've only picked up 1 point from the last 4 games. And we have been out on them a while, even though they got a little boost around the time Tony came back. And there's nothing to recommend them here. They were uncompetitive against West Ham. The one thing that puts you off a little bit is that 1-0 at Man City. I'm not really sure where that came from. The problem, as always, with a -400 shot is finding the bet. This is where you have to dig around all the markets. But I got one, Baz. And it's a bet that would have cashed the last 3 in a row for Arsenal. And it's a great price as well. It's Arsenal to win both halves. It's 11-8 plus 137. Like I say, that's cashed 3 on the spin. So why not here? 2-0 half time, 4-0 full time. Easy. Arsenal to win both halves, 11-8 plus 137.
Yeah, so I've got one I really like here. The obvious look is goals and Arsenal to continue their scoring form, particularly when you consider Brentford's defensive problems lately. 7 of their last 9, they've conceded 2 or more. 5 of those, they've let in 3. And they've conceded 4 twice recently versus West Ham and Liverpool. Arsenal to score 3 at 5-6 appeals to me. 24 goals in the last 5 games. And I think there's every chance they'll get a few here as well. But I'm looking to cash this one early. First half goals. The last 5 games for Arsenal have seen 15 goals in the first half. So, we saw them go 5-0 up and then slow down in the second half. They've done similar against West Ham, I think it was, where they were 4 up at half time. 2 goals or more scored in the first half of games regularly recently, and it's plus money. It's 11-10 for over 1.5 first half goals. And that doesn't need to be Arsenal goals either. Brentford can contribute here. Just remember, Brentford have only been shut out once in the last 12 games as well. I think there's every chance Brentford will score in this game. So they can help us out here. Really like this one. Over 1.5 first half goals at 11-10. And I don't mind a little bit on over 2.5 at 7-2. If you're a proper DJ and like serial, take the over 3.5 at 12-1 as well.
Okay, so we take the 2-0 half time, 4-0 full time. Bars, happy with that?
Yeah.
We move across to Sunday. Early kickoff. Well, I was going to say probably the game of the weekend. Definitely isn't the game of the weekend. It's the second best game of the weekend, though. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff, which is 8 a.m. Eastern time. It's Aston Villa taking on Tottenham Hotspur. Aston Villa 13-10 plus 130. The draw's at 3-1. Tottenham 13-8 plus 162. Huge game in the race for the top 4 in Champions League football. Possibly a defining game, Barry. Can you define the winner for us?
Possibly. It was another tough one, isn't it? Villa have turned the corner recently. 3 straight wins, 9 goals scored in those 3 games. And they've seen over 2.5 goals in 6 in a row. They are conceding goals as well, though. They've conceded 2 in each of their last 2 wins over Luton and Forest. And they've conceded at least 2 in 4 of the last 6 games now. Spurs continue to be a little bit inconsistent lately. They've won just 4 of the last 8 in the league. All 4 of those wins came at home as well. Just 1 win in the last 6 away from home. Should be a bit of a concern if you're looking at back Spurs here. And again, they've conceded at least 2 goals in 5 of 6 away games. So there's lots of form for both of these teams getting on the score sheet, but also for letting them in at the other end. So both teams scoring and conceding regularly goals was the first thought. But crikey, 1-3 for over 2.5 goals here.
Yeah,
and you can't even get evens for over 3.5. Over 3.5 is 10-11. The team totals are both short. They're about 8-11, each of them to score 2 goals. So I decided the value wasn't in the goals market at all. I think there'll be goals in it. I just think the prices have gone a little bit too short. With Villa having hit a decent run of form and Spurs struggle on the road, my slight lean here is towards Villa. Far from confident, far from a most confident pick for the weekend. So I've played it a bit safer and I've gone to the draw no bet market. You love that one, Malcolm, don't you?
2 bets then. Serial loves that one.
Villa in the draw no bet market at 4-5 for me.
Okay. You see, I am confident about this, Baz, which is not normally a good idea. I am concentrating. I'm just firing up the air. What game's this I've found? Thought it was Brighton, Roma, but it's not. They've got black tracksuits with a big S on, Barry. Who's that? Anyone we know? Anyway, it's football, isn't it? It's football and it's on my telly. So, yeah, this is a really, really good game. Villa have a 5-point lead at the minute. And if they get that up to 8, that's going to take some pegging back. Oh, it's Liverpool on the telly, whoever they're playing. I'll be turning that off in a minute. 3 wins on the spin for Villa. 3-2, 4-2, 2-1. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, Barry. That lazy pick. They hit 4 in a row. So loads of goals. And they have won 10-13 at home. Now, Tottenham had 3 home games on the spin. There's quite a lot of lopsided fixtures at the minute. I think with the cup games and stuff like that, there's a lot of teams who've had 3 home wins. 3 home or 3 away games. And they have won 2 of those last 3. Tons of goals as well in their last games. 4-3-3, 4-5-4, 5-6. So 3's a baseline, an absolute baseline for both teams. Like you say, though, the bookies are onto it pretty quickly. I really like Aston Villa to win here, Baz. I've got a strong feeling. This is my strongest feeling of the weekend, but they can't keep a clean sheet. So the pick is Villa to win and both teams to score, which is 9-4 plus 225, Baz, yeah? Ooh, you made a little sex face then. You like that? Villa to win and both teams to score 9-4 plus 225. It was Sparta Prague, Harry. Good knowledge. Harry knows ball. Captain Insano with a $1 fine for baseball chat in the football. You know the rules, Captain. You can't have baseball chat in the football and vice versa. However, I will take this opportunity to say that in 4 1/4 hours' time, if you want to listen to the National League Central Division preview on the MLB Gambling Podcast, me and D-Rock will be joined by Vegas legend Dave Sharaban, the sportsbook consigliere, to do the NL Central later on. So, yeah, get involved in that. Next up is 2 o'clock kickoffs on Sunday. Brighton take on Nottingham Forest. Brighton are 13-18, minus 138. The draw is at 3-1. And Nottingham Forest are Burlington Birdie, 100-30 plus 333. This is me, isn't it, Baz? So I had to handicap. Well, I didn't have to. I don't have to do anything. I did handicap Brighton earlier on for this game against Roma. And I'm not into them for the reasons we talked about on the show when I put them out as an eye catcher for 5 wins in 21. So you can't bet them. That was stupid price, 13-18, minus 138 for a team that's won 5 games in 21. And there's no patterns really with them for over-unders, both teams to score anything like that. So I really had to take Brighton out of my focus and put Nottingham Forest into the spotlight here to try and find the bet. It's hard to pick them to win as well because they've only won 2 away games in 13. So 100-30 is not the greatest price. But they have been scoring goals. They got 2 at Villa last time. Even though they found themselves in a tricky spot early on, they got back into the game. They scored 2 against West Ham. They scored 2 against Newcastle, even though they lost. And they did make chances against Liverpool. It was highlighted on Match of the Day. They made several decent chances against Liverpool. So I don't want anything to do with Brighton. I'm going to give Forest a chance, but I'm not brave enough to take the Forest outright. Forest can score 2 goals here, Baz, and this is a little pick, actually, that you've been quite keen on recently. Be interesting to see where you go. Nottingham Forest to score twice is 7-4, plus 175. This could easily finish 2-2.
It could, and it's a team right. You've literally just read off my notes. 7 of the last 10 games for Forest now, they've scored 2 or more goals. And I think 2 of them was the recent defeats to Man United and Liverpool. Prior to that, they were on a really, really good streak with it. So, I don't need to go into much more detail. Same for me. Forest to score 2 or more against Brighton at 7-4. Same pick.
We have Nicholas Skillman, another great name, in the chat. He likes the Luton team total, which you already threw out. Bootle's throwing out the Romero yellow card, great angle. Wants a bit of revenge on Matty Cash. You remember Matty Cash fouled him in the last game. Ooh, we fouled him, Barry. Terrible. So revenge game. It's a Romero revenge game. The Americans love all of that. Okay. Next up is, I'll tell you actually what I'm going to mention is the, could just be talked about March Madness, is there is a little merch promo, 15% off, something like that, if you use the code MADNESS in the SGPN merch store. So go and buy something. Go and get, I've got a hat on. Have a look at this beauty. Get yourself one of these.
You can buy yourself some Premier League merch now as well. We've got the Premier League gambling.
Premier League merch.
We've got our own merch on there. You can get our t-shirts and hoodies now.
Do we get a cut of that, Bad? Or not?
I doubt it.
No. Oh, well, buy what you want then. 2 o'clock on Sunday, West Ham United take on Burnley. Here we go, Lee. West Ham 11-18, minus 163. The draw is 3-1. Burnley are 4-1, Barry.
Yes. I'm frantically scrolling down because I've moved up on my notes for some reason. West Ham, having gone 8 without a win, find themselves on a little streak now. A little streak of games. I've seen them pick up wins against Everton and Brentford. And now taking on the struggle as Burnley. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago how the return of Paquetá was important for them. And it certainly seems to have been the way. It certainly contributed to an upturn in form. They've scored 7 in those last 2 games. And I think it's really hard to bet against them making it 3 on the bounce here. Burnley have got no win in 10. They've lost 4 in a row, scoring just once in the last 4 as well and conceded 13. Defeats to Liverpool and Arsenal, fair enough. You take them on the chin. But as a Burnley fan and looking at games like Palace and Brentford, where they've just went and lost 3-0 and 2-0, that does nothing for your confidence at all. Not that Burnley fans have had much confidence anyway for a long time. West Ham are a little bit short to take as a pick. I don't mind them in my as 8-13. I think West Ham are all right. But I'm going to take them to win by a couple here. 13-8 for West Ham to win by 2 or more. Burnley's last 5 defeats have all come by a 2-goal margin or worse. West Ham have covered a 2-goal margin in the last 2 games. West Ham do play tonight, which could be a disadvantage. But I've looked at it and it hasn't affected them much this season. Playing on a Thursday night, going into a Sunday game, the last 3 European games were followed up with 2 wins and a draw. So it doesn't seem like they're having much of a hangover from the European football. So I'm happy to take West Ham minus 1.5 on the handicap at 13-8 as my pick here.
You might have noticed a little head in hands moment there, but as big Romelu Lukaku, point blank header, 4 yards out. Keeper tips it over. Roma turning the screw in the early stages. I was just going to mention
Liverpool have got a penalty in their game.
Oh, I've turned that off. Can't be doing with it. The Europa League Sunday Thursday thing hasn't been a problem this year. We normally have to factor that in, but it just doesn't. It seems to have gone away. I'm not even sure it was a thing in the first place. Because West Ham keep winning, and Brighton have been shit anyway. Go on. Oh, he just fell over at the back stick. So yeah, West Ham. I'm still trying to fade them back. I'll tell you what, people, close the windows and listen quietly. Shut the curtains because I've got a 50-1 winner here in this game. Not very often I put out a 50-1 shot pass. I'm still trying to fade West Ham, but they do have 2 wins in a row against poor opposition, Brentford and Everton. Scored 7 goals in that. I thought they were a bit lucky last week against Everton. and they were poor before that. The problem with wanting to fade them is Burnley don't really make it that easy for you to want to fade them against. Burnley have conceded 3 goals in a row, 4 consecutive away games. So Lee is already onto me here. He's gone with the West Ham goals ladder. The scientific analysis from Lee here is we can't defend, we can't score, and are generally just very shit, which isn't full of confidence. So the West Ham to score over 2.5 is 2-1, Barry. That's a really nice price. West Ham team total. The 50-1 shot though, Baz, because I've got to factor me West Ham fading. If West Ham are going to score 3 goals and not win, Barry, that makes it a 3-3 draw, doesn't it? Hey, you're going to enjoy that one on Match of the Daily. The 3-3 draws up at 50-1. So we'll cash that once we've cashed West Ham over 2.5 team total at 2-1. Now, this is the game of the weekend. 3:45. So what? 10:45, 11:45, 10:45. I don't care. Liverpool will take on Manchester City. Liverpool are the prices have. No, they're not. They haven't changed at all. Liverpool are 19-10 plus 190. The draws 11-4 plus 275. Man City are the favourite 6-5 plus 120. So huge game that will go a very long way to deciding where the Premier League trophy will end up. First against second, Liverpool currently lead by 1 point. Got away with one last week. Got away with a huge one last week. Were gifted a goal in the 99th minute. And it does sound odd, Baz, but they haven't been very convincing, even though the last scorelines were 3-1. They've had a lot of 3-1s and 4-1s. But do you know what I mean? They were behind against Luton, Brentford and Burnley. They weren't smashing teams. Like in their last really competitive game, a comparison game, they lost 3-1 at Arsenal, and probably deservedly so. They went in at half-time levelling when never really should have been in front in the first place. Manchester City have also had the odd unconvincing game. We had those little 1-0s. But they showed enough against Man United last week. Because it's such a big game, Barry, I didn't want to piss around with Brighton just hit the post. I didn't want to piss around with any stats, any props, any things like that. I think the people deserve a winner, Baz, because it's a big game. So I've picked a winner. I've picked Manchester City to win the game. 6-5 plus 120.
Yeah, well, you've covered most of what I'm going to say, really, so I don't need to cover most of it. I think the Liverpool lineup's important. They have done really well grinding out results. Got to give credit where it's due with the injuries they've had. They'll be hoping to welcome a few back. I was waiting to see tonight whether Salah made it, and he does make the bench, which sort of suggests to me I'll be amazed if he doesn't start. At the weekend, Nunes is back, Szoboszlai's back, so they are starting to get a few back. They'll still, I think, be without Jota, Trent, Jones, so they're still a little bit weakened, but closer to full strength. But same as you, I think whenever I see Man City at bigger than evens against anybody, it tempts me in. I think you've got to be interested in them at that sort of price. The 20 games without a defeat now. And I know Liverpool aren't far off that either. The only game defeat they've got in the last 18 is Arsenal. And I'm not dismissing Liverpool out of hand here, but I think Man City at 6-5. I just think they're the better team. They're in that phase of the season now where historically they just tend to hit the zone and off they go. Just not to say it happens again this season, but I think 6-5 is a good price for Man City. So my pick is also Man City to win at 6-5. I also like Man City to score 3 or more at 5-2.
Oh, okay. So team ride on Manchester City. This Roma Brighton game could finish 7-all. Like chances galore if you can get on something live. Looks like there's going to be goals. Q and 0-0. Final game then is Monday night, and it is Chelsea against Newcastle. Chelsea are 11-13. Newcastle are 13-5 plus 260 with the draw at 3-1. Bat.
Yeah, so I've got a stock pick ready to just roll off, just take it off the shelf and roll it out every week for Newcastle at the moment. And nothing's changed in my mind here. Newcastle, despite being pretty underwhelming for some time now, they've only lost once in 8. That was against Arsenal. So not getting beaten many. There's no real pattern to the Chelsea form. They continue to be all over the place. No consistency really from either side here. One thing I do trust is Newcastle goals. We've got plenty on us at the moment, particularly with a few players returning now. Willock and Barnes are back. Isaac's back. So we're getting back to closer to full strength, and where we've got a few options to sort of freshen things up. Newcastle to score 2 or more. They've done in 7 of the last 8 league games. The only game they didn't do it in was that Arsenal one, where they still managed to score 1. It's plus money here. And Chelsea have just conceded 2 to Brentford, 2 to Leeds. Wolves and Liverpool have put 2 past them recently. I think it's just a good price for Newcastle, because I don't want to take Newcastle to win or anything like that. We look too dodgy at the back to be trusting Newcastle at the moment, but you can trust them at the other end. Newcastle to score 2 or more against Chelsea at 5-4 is my pick here.
Harry's gone for 12-0 Chelsea there, Baz. If you want to get involved in that, good luck with that, Harry. Yeah, you can't back Chelsea. Bootle's asking how are the favourites. I kind of get how the favourites because our away form has been a little bit ropey. But they weren't great at Brentford last week. Took a late equaliser, even though they got in front. They've won 5 of 12 at home. Lost 4-2 to Wolves last time out. There has been goals, like you said. Both teams to score 8 out of 9, over 2.5, 7 out of 9. That Newcastle clean sheet last week against Wolves did come in favourable circumstances. But again, our away form's been poor, 3 of 13 on the road. But the match goals for Newcastle, Baz, is a madness. That 3 last week is the absolute baseline because it's the only one that's under 4. Before that, you go 5-4-5, 8, 4-5, 6-4. So absolutely millions of goals. Only 1 in the last 9 there, under 3.5. However, it's a bit skinny. It's 11-10 plus 110. I put the Newcastle team total down was too short. I looked at it, marked it down at 5-4, and I didn't like it. You know, Baz, when I do Newcastle games, I have 2 systems. The one is the reverse mush, and the one is just to bottle it and throw out some stupid stats because I don't really want to handicap Newcastle. So I've gone for the second option here, Baz. Some of these Newcastle away matches against half-decent teams, which I'm not even sure Chelsea are, have been insane in terms of shots. We saw Liverpool broke a world record. Arsenal mangled us. We played okay Villa. So lots of goals we've just mentioned and lots of chances. Does correspond. Chance! Yes! Roma have scored. Yeah, lots of goals and lots of chances. Oh, hang on. The flag's gone up. Bastards. Did you know that? Oh, no. Hang on. Anyway, shall I get on with what I'm supposed to be doing? Lots of goals, lots of chances, equals lots of shots, Baz. Over 27.5 shots. It's a complete cop-out. Don't anyone bet this. 5-6, minus 120. I still don't know if this goal counts or not, Baz. But I think that's the end of the 10 games handicapped. What is your exotic stuff?
Exotic for me is... I'm going to start off with my goal scorer. For me, I'm going for Jared Bowen at 7-4. It's a game where I think West Ham will get goals. You think they'll get goals, and Jared Bowen is likely to play through the middle and has been in good form lately. So Jared Bowen at 7-4 for an anytime scorer, and I think it was 5-1 for first scorer. Underdog for me is Luton at 7-2. Luton to beat Palace. I think they've got a chance, and it's 7-2. That'll be my pick for an underdog of the week. My ACCA is 2 tiers. Start off with a simple double. Manchester double. It's the Man United, Man City. They're both around even money. So you're getting a 3-1 double for Man United to beat Everton, Man City to beat Liverpool. Manchester versus Liverpool, basically. Manchester is going to come out on top, and both of those at 3-1. But if you want something a little bit bigger than that, add in Arsenal and West Ham. Gives you a 7-1 fourfold. So Man United, Man City, Arsenal and West Ham all to win at 7-1.
A little celebration, Baz. VAR is in my favour. That goal has been given. Roma 1, Brighton 0. Always like the VAR. Right, my underdog, Baz, is an underdog that won for me last week. Fulham. Skinny, 17-10, plus 170. But Fulham at Wolves, Wolves having key players to their performance, a little bit like Crystal Palace do, and Wolves are missing a lot of them. So I think in Fulham were playing really well. The performance at Manchester United was excellent, and they beat Brighton comfortably last week. So 17-10 Fulham. It's only a little puppy, but I'll take it. Goal scorer, I've got to go to Arsenal just because what we said, they scored 6, 4, 5, and 6 in the last 4. What I did see was Martinelli limp off, which tells me Leandro Trossard might get a game. And obviously, he's a little bit of a bigger price because he's not sort of the premium 3 or 4 that start every week. So Leandro Trossard is 11-2, first and last, and 13-8, plus 162 for an anytime goal scorer. And for my parlay, I would just like to throw out, I won my parlay this week. This is episode 161. I think that's my 3rd winning parlay. So I'm not due one till 2nd week in October, maybe. Middle of October, I'll get another winning parlay. So I'll write this one off. But first half money lines again, Baz. I've got to stick with it because it won. First half money line, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and I've written down West Ham United, but that can't be true because I've just given Fulham as me. See what I mean? I can't even do that. Arsenal,
West Ham are playing Burnley.
Oh yeah, I can do West Ham then. Yeah, oh, it's Wolves, isn't it? Yeah, talking shit. First half money line: Arsenal, Crystal Palace, West Ham is a little bit over 7-1. Baz, it's plus 711. So I like. I'm all over the first half money lines again, Barry. Is there anything else you want to tell the people before we let them go?
Yeah, of course. I'll put out the. I'm still following the over 2.5 acca. We're going to hit one before the end of the season. Over 2.5 goals in all 10 games this week, Malcolm. 100-1. We're into treble figures. So we'll get on the over 2.5 in every game. Over 1.5 in every game is 9-2. And that's going all right. You know, we'd hit a couple in a row. And the last 2 weeks have missed by a small margin. It was only the Liverpool v Forest game that let us down on the over 1.5 acca last week.
Yeah, that's hard.
All the games. So yeah, I think it's worth riding each week. I think we'll hit more of them than we won't than not. So yeah, get on the goals there and keep an eye out on the shorts. Malcolm's put one out tonight for the Europa League. We'll probably have something out tomorrow for the Friday night football. I might put some cards picks out on there. So keep an eye on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, please do so. We are putting more of the short stuff out and also highlighting lots of the podcast so that you can pick it up on a Saturday and Sunday and jump to the games you want. But other than that, no, keep liking, rating, reviewing, commenting, subscribing.
Cheers, Baz. Thank you, everyone who was in the chat. It was absolutely on fire. We had all the usual faces and a lot of new ones as well. Beans McDouglas still enjoying his name. Kane was in there. Who else did we have later on? Brutal. Nice to see him. He dips in and out from time to time. The Jackal was in there as well. So everybody who joined us, we really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And like I say, if you are watching, loads of people watching tonight, and some people didn't say hello, so do that next time. That's exactly 1 hour, Barry. We're very professional young men. Cheers, everyone. We'll be back on Sunday night, I reckon. Don't see why not. Until then, we will see you down the road. I'm going to have one attempt at getting this music thing right because I've got it wrong every time so far. So let's try it again. Cheers. Bye.